Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Love and Life Elevated. I'm Dr. Debra.
And I'm Dr. James. It is so good to see you today. Thank you for making time for us.
Yes, and we are very excited about our topic today because, well, first of all, I'm calling it the night shift. And this isn't really about like day shift, night shift workers. We have covered that before, but today we're talking about something we've never talked about before, although James and I have talked about it. And modern medicine needs to be talking about this a whole lot more.
And this is a topic that I think you're going to want to tell others about. And it's because it's so critical for all of us to be considering. And by the way, little sidebar, if you lay this down in a Scrabble game, most likely you will win. It's glymphatic. It's the glymphatic system.
Yes, Glymphatic. So, you know,
the dyslexic
you can
never
tell
would have
James
done.
doesn't love playing Scrabble because there's not enough letters. Oh, but I do love that about you and so much more. But we want to talk about the difference between, well, what is glymphatic? I've heard of lymphatic system, but the glymphatic system is really all about the brain, and particularly the healing that occurs when we're sleeping and the link between this glymphatic system and diseases like Alzheimer's, which is just mind-blowing.
It's tremendous. And I was reading a bit about this morning, honey, and you're going to love this. It's often called the brain dishwasher.
Yes, I love that.
Which is great because you get the visual of something actually washing your brain. Mm-hmm. This is exactly what the glymphatic system does. And yes, it is most aware and most vibrant and most awakened while you are sleeping. And the deeper the quality of your sleep, the more this dishwasher is awake and running strong.
Yes, so the idea of the glymphatic system is relatively new. It was discovered back in 2012 at the University of Rochester. And this is why James and I did not learn about it in medical school because we graduated in 1996.
Holy goodness.
So I think that when we learned about it, we know about it, we adjust our kind of sleep hygiene around it, but we never talked about it. And we thought, oh, this is so great because everybody should know about this.
Yes.
And so what happens is when we are laying down to rest, our cerebrospinal fluid, the CSF, it can go up into the brain, and as you said, it acts like a dishwasher. So it cleanses those neurons or the brain cells to get out the debris, the stuff that we want to wash away.
Like amyloid beta and
tau proteins that are linked to Alzheimer's disease. So really important, and what happens during our rest is that our subdural spaces increase, so gives that CSF an opportunity to wash that brain, which is why deep rest and good sleep is so important, because we give that glymphatic system the opportunity to go to work.
So, honey, I think everyone's going to be thinking so okay, great, sleep. So we'll talk about quality sleep. And I think even some of the mechanics of sleep. I was reading, it was really fascinating. They talk about sleep posture, like what position do you want to be in when you're getting the greatest dishwashing going on in your brain and the greatest cleansing while you sleep?
I'm so glad you're bringing this up. Because, why am I glad you're bringing this up?
Because both of us have... Well,
come on.
I usually see you sleeping like this.
No, I am a side sleeper. I alternate sides, but I do have another bad habit that we're going to talk about.
Well, I am absolutely not following the protocol because I'm a tummy sleeper. I am literally, my head's like this.
You're kind of crushing all the drainage, though, because part of this was allowing the optimal washing, right? Is number one, not having a stiff neck. So if you're laying and sleeping on your belly and your neck's like this, just think of kind of
the gosh, you're making me feel anxious.
And that necessarily doesn't have to do with your brain, but what happens is the communication between glymphatic and lymphatic, because we got this washing. So where's that stuff going? Where is it dumping? Again, it's dumping into that extracellular vasculature that leads down into the drainage, down through the drainage vessels. And specifically, you want it to come down to the left side and right above that clavicle. And what I used to, and I still do, teach my patients when we talk about lymph drainage, it's not this heavy, don't think of like this deep pressured intense massage. It's very light touch. And now I say, I want you to brush up gently up the side, kind of along those arteries,
Yep.
up toward your jawline, and then down, and then you tap right above that, the collarbone where we have our subclavian arteries. And so then it's like we're just setting the stage for really great drainage. And where does it drain? Into the liver, into the kidney, so that we can move the waste out through our pee-pee and poo-poo.
And I think what's really interesting here is that what you just said was so powerful, honey, and thank you for that visual, is that I think a lot of people, not a lot of people, many people think about detox and they're focusing specifically on their liver or their kidneys or what have you, but they're not necessarily thinking about detoxifying their brain or doing the kind of things that's going to augment this cleansing experience, which is happening it's happening all the time, but 90% of it is happening at night when you're sleeping. The other 10%, which is not real viable, is happening during the day. So there's so much about why this needs to be brought to the forefront of our attention, because Alzheimer's disease is a scary, scary thing, but there's all type of deficits in terms of just general mood, emotional stability, cognition. All those things suffer if your brain is not being washed. We all know how we feel after a poor night's sleep. That is a key indicator that we didn't get a good wash.
So I did make some notes, because I think something that's really important to make the connection between is you've probably heard that there is a greater incidence of Alzheimer's disease in women. So you got to figure there is a hormone connection there. So I did write down some notes about how estrogen, which decreases naturally during menopause, it stimulates the enzymes that degrade plaques and protects the brain. And so when we have a decline in estrogen, we have an increase in inflammation, which includes the brain. And then sometimes we have a compromised melatonin. It's kind of the chicken and the egg situation. What came first? Is it that estrogen decrease, so now we're not getting as much sleep? Is it that we're inflamed? Is it all of the above? Because we do know that the estrogen is protecting the brain from things like iron-induced cell death. We always see, not always, but for my men that are on testosterone therapy, and women too, sometimes we'll see an increase in iron, and we really don't want that because it's not good for the brain.
Right.
So estrogen is very important for the glymphatic system as well, because of decreasing inflammation and also helping us with getting a good night's rest.
Yeah, that's such an important piece for all of us to consider, particularly women. And what I've been learning more and more about since this subject came back on our radar, sweetheart, is just some of the things that you spoke just a moment ago about what we can be doing from different lifestyle supports. And of course, helping ourselves with inflammation. So clean diet, exercise, managing your stress, meditation, all those things are really powerful. And from a supplement standpoint, there's data on things like magnesium, particularly magnesium glycinate. Now, I just left it. The study on magnesium glycinate was great.
Did you read something on threonate as well?
I did not.
Okay.
And that's my question, is that given the fact it is the one magnesium that's been clinically proven to cross the blood-brain barrier, wouldn't it make sense that we'd want to be supplementing magnesium threonate, because that may be the one that's actually doing the greatest opportunity within the brain itself? Well,
I know that you and I like both of them. So we cover all the bases. So we use both threonate and glycinate. I would guess, we know that funding is so limited around nutritional studies and everything, that given that this is such a new area, that they probably the research isn't there
just hasn't been there yet. Exactly.
So it maybe hasn't hit. So we're not here to promote taking supplements or not taking supplements, but we're suggesting this is what we do, and that magnesium has been shown actually in terms of supporting the lymphatic system.
Along with that, omega-3s, because that's going to be helpful for managing inflammation. And of course, people thinking, well, what about melatonin because of the sleep support? Well, melatonin is also indicated. So there's a lot of things we can be doing from a supplement standpoint, but I also read a really interesting study on the type of exercise in the morning. And basically getting out early in the morning, being outdoors, to help you do two things. Aerobic exercise, so walking, running, bicycling, any type of movement outdoors, particularly in the early morning sun, has a direct impact not just from lymphatic support and just general management of your entire being, but also engaging the circadian rhythm. And there's data that supports that the more we are in alignment with our circadian rhythm, the greater a glymphatic system is going to work, of course, right? Because it's going to help with our sleep-wake cycles and helping our deeper sleep to happen in a more healthy way.
Yeah, because so the pineal gland, which you're talking about stimulating in the morning with that early morning sun, that actually secretes melatonin directly into the cerebral spinal fluid. And that gets that's what, is washing the brain at night. So the other thing, in addition to this brisk movement, is something that I love, that by the time I come downstairs in the morning to do my brisk movement, you typically are moving into your breath work and your breathing exercises. So breath work is also a really good way to kind of start generating. Obviously, you're not going into glymphatic because that really happens during rest. You're not peaking that system doing these exercises. You're more priming the pineal gland to start producing melatonin so that when you do lay down, that system can go to work for you. But the breathing exercises in the morning and at night are really great.
Yeah. I mean, these are all things that really, as you look at your day and you look at your night, so we know about morning activity, circadian rhythm, and I think a big thing that I'm also seeing a relationship to is all about something I call shutdown complete, which is my late afternoon and early evening rituals. There's a lot about how we metabolize stress, about how we're ending the day. So, whether it's getting into taking a warm shower at the end of the day, just to kind of help your body to cool the body temperature, which is going to help you with your sleep. I'm a big fan of sauna. I sauna every afternoon. That's also heat shock proteins are also being shown to be helpful with augmenting the sort of the precursor energy before a good night's sleep. And those heat shock proteins, heart benefit, brain benefit. So these are all things that you can be doing alongside of the basics. And I love that you said earlier, honey, the basics on like sleep posture, the basics on just sleep maintenance, having dark shades, having maybe wearing a sleep mask. All of these things help this whole mechanism to run efficiently and predictably.
Yeah, so there were two things I wanted to circle back to. One is you mentioned melatonin, and I would say that maybe half of the patients that I work with, sleep is always a topic. And either they're taking melatonin, they've tried melatonin, and it makes them feel groggy, and that's real. So depending on when you go into your deep sleep cycle, if you haven't cleared that melatonin overnight, like maybe you're having a sluggish processing of that, then you may feel sluggish.
Yeah.
And it also depends on dosing. I know during COVID, because higher doses of melatonin act as an antioxidant, there were times for certain individuals that I was recommending higher doses, 20, 50 milligrams of melatonin. And here's the thing, we can test for melatonin. I think the best way to test is first morning urine. So you can talk to your doctor.
Would this be the Dutch test, honey?
Well, Dutch test is one test that will test for melatonin, and but you can request that from your primary care provider if they can do a urine melatonin first morning void sample of that. There was one other thing I was going to mention. Another practice, and that is in the evening. Another evening practice that I love, and again, guilty, I don't do it enough, is legs up the wall. It's an popular yoga pose, and what happens is picture kind of your butt and the back of your legs are up against the wall. You're laying down on the floor. First of all, it's so relaxing, and if you think of stagnation and blood and fluids kind of pooling in the lower half of the body during the day, this gives it a chance to settle back in and kind of enter into that circulation that we're talking about. And it's very relaxing, and it's really great for the brain and settling. Like I love how you always say settling the apple juice.
And I think the thing that what really hits me, and I'm so glad you brought that up, and really everyone needs to be thinking about this, is we expect our brain and our body to just go from the human doing and then just switch, hit the switch and then go into human being. We have to pregame for this. There's a wind down period, and the more that is ritualized and it's predictable and the timing is exact, not exact like down to the second, but the more that you have a predictable bedtime and a waking time, the more it augments the way your circadian rhythm is going to work, which is going to benefit tremendously this glymphatic experience. And I think the things that really help our body to do that, simple rituals, that yoga posture is amazing for kind of getting your brain and your body to go, oh, we're now moving into the rest experience. We're now preparing for sleep. And people go, well, is it really that way? It is really that way, because most of us have our faces in our phone or a television or some other blue light. I mean, we expect to be able to just go, oh my gosh, it's 10:30, I should probably go to sleep now. If your body has been absorbing and your eyes are absorbing blue light, you are not going to be, okay, it's time to go to sleep. So we got to put a good 2 to 3 hours of pre-gaming in to allow ourselves to settle into that energetic sleep pattern to allow ourselves to move into deep sleep recovery.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up, because that was the next thing I wanted to talk about. And we have talked about that before. And I've outed James with his evening ritual that starts literally right after dinner. If we are watching anything and he's got his dark glasses on. And I want to clarify something about blue light, because it's kind of an all-encompassing term. It's not like, oh, well, I'm just watching TV. It's not blue. Or I just have the overhead lights on. They're not blue. Blue light refers to anything being emitted from a screen. So your phone, your tablet, your TV, bright overhead lights, these all count. And so, number one, minimize that. If you can, just kind of go cold turkey, no blue light whatsoever after, or like within 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours of bedtime, that's awesome. If it's just something that helps you relax, that's fine. But I really would recommend, there's several places online now that you can get the dark blue light glasses. And so it's usually a dark amber lens. There's the ones that James and I have are awesome because they fit over our reading glasses. So we can use them for reading if there is bright light. That's what I really like.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of destroying my hair though, because I noticed these little, and I have so many glasses.
You have glasses all over the place.
I have glasses everywhere. And just what I just so you all know, I've been researching this, like, why is my hair chopped off right here? And I think it's because I'm constantly, and you've seen me, I bet, putting the glasses on my head. So I'm really trying to be very careful the way I put my glasses on.
This is beautiful. It's
and
great.
doing it at night, too, because then it's against the pillow.
Yeah, that's a great share. I've got to figure out how to get my sleep posture
I know how, so I'm going to teach you right now.
Oh, okay.
The best way to train yourself to sleep on your side is put a pillow, but you can either do a whole body pillow, which I think that would be
too much.
I think it'd be too warm for you because you run so warm, but you could do a pillow between your knees.
Okay.
Or between your legs. And it's kind of like, you're not going to be on your belly if you have a pillow between your legs. I think it'll force you to kind of stay on the side. Yeah. And then you could even still have one that you hug, but it's like in two sections versus like one long.
Thank you for that.
Or the dog. You could spoon the dog. We used to be side spooners.
We used to be. I mean, after 34 years of marriage, you kind of, as much as I love you.
I mean, I'll be your pillow, but I know you're just going to go back to your belly.
I just do. And, that's a perfect way to wrap things up, because I feel like, number one, you need to please recognize the importance of the glymphatic system. Recognize how much you have to say about this brain dishwashing that's happening. And it's happening either really, really good, or it's going to leave a lot of residue on the dishes. We all know how a great dishwasher works and one that doesn't work so well. It is all about the quality of your sleep. Pure and simple. That is what it's all about. Now, what you can do during the day, we've talked about the exercise, managing inflammation, meditation. All those things are helpful. One
more thing I want to add to the daytime, and that is hydration and electrolytes, because we don't want sludgy cerebral spinal fluid. We don't want sludgy blood. So the extra hydration and electrolytes will really help with that. Now, not too close to bedtime because, if you have to get up to pee too many times, that's going to interrupt the sleep.
That is a really big point. In fact, I read a study on sipping throughout the day versus trying to manage the quart you didn't drink after 5.
Oh, yes.
And just like you're almost better off not to do that because your sleep's gonna be so disrupted, but really ritualize. Right across from the camera here, I have my quart. I go through 3 to 4 of those every single day. It starts at 4 a.m. That's when I start sipping. And I'm usually done by 4 p.m. so I can help myself to sleep. So these are little things that you can do. And I think that when we hear things like this, some of us who aren't sleeping well, some of us who are really, really, really scared about the possibility of Alzheimer's, it can really amp up our stress, amp up our cortisol. Here's a great tip. When it comes to cortisol and stress, if we're really, really engaging in the stress aspect, do this. Usually when I'm stressed, it's because I've attached a lot of meaning to it. Like, this matters to me. This is really meaningful for me. When we give it matter and meaning, it actually helps our bodies to metabolize the cortisol. Actually helps it to metabolize the stress hormones so much more effectively than if we just go, oh my gosh, I'm just stressed. Oh my goodness, I'm just worried. It's so important to say, I'm worried because I want to be sleeping and I want to maximize my glymphatic activity, because it matters to me, because this means a lot to me. When we do that, it actually helps us to metabolize the stress.
And I would add that if you are struggling to focus, if you have brain fog, if you are tired and you just think, well, that's just a normal part of aging, I would really encourage you to talk to your primary care provider about it, and maybe you need some testing done. Like, let's look at your hormones and see where they may be playing a role, because it's understandable if you're not getting enough sleep that you're going to have that brain fog, lack of focus, lack of energy. But the key is we need to be sleeping better so that we're not feeding a vicious cycle, so that we can have better cognition, clearer thinking, greater energy, deeper, better, healthier sleeping. And so let's just make sure that if there's a way to optimize the melatonin, the cortisol, the estrogen, the progesterone, let's get, those are easy fixes. And I would start there, as well as with these practices that we've talked about. I mean, we're all breathing. If you're watching this, you're breathing. So let it work for you.
Yeah, I think this is a great topic. I'm so glad this came on our radar, because this is something that's so easily overlooked, or we don't give it enough meaning, so we don't deepen our practices. So hopefully this was helpful for you.
Does it remind you of glamping? Sorry, I just had that thought. You know how glamping is like glamour and camping, and glymphatic is like glial cells, I think of, in the brain combined with lymph.
Sure.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I love these hybrid words, and then understanding it, having a visual of how they work together.
Yeah, I think the brain dishwasher is so powerful. Yeah,
it's so great.
It's so powerful. So hopefully this is something that lands in your heart as well as in your mind. You give yourself permission to practice this and share it with somebody, because this is not getting talked about, to Deb's point, enough in medical worlds. I think it's a specialty area that maybe that's where they're talking about it, but knowing a lot of physicians, we don't talk about this, and it should be talked about more often, because this is front and center, a big part of our aging well, our health span, longevity, all the things.
Yes. So thanks for being with us today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We are so glad you're here with us, and we're grateful for you, and we will see you next time. Take good care, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have an awesome day. Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.